Browns introduced new offensive coordinator Tommy Rees today, of course, promoted from tight ends coach. And Mary Kay, the big news came before Tommy started talking. Kevin Stefanski introduced him and did say earlier than I think any of us expected, he will take back play calling. So not a huge surprise there, but here we are, the end of January. We already know Kevin Stefanski will call plays this year.
Yeah, I think he's just gotten tired over the years of us asking and asking and asking. Now he's putting that to rest. He's taking it back. He gave it to Ken Dorsey midway through last season. It didn't go the way anybody hoped it would. The whole season didn't. So now he's taking it back, and I think that's the right decision, because Tommy Reese has never been a coordinator, never called plays in the NFL before. So Kevin doing it just makes sense.
Yeah, and of course, maybe there's a point, because he did say that he reserves the right to change his mind. So maybe at some point he does hand it over to Tommy Reese, but it is a good idea, like Mary Kay was saying, Ashley, to maybe just not put too much on Tommy's plate as he takes over as a very young OC.
Yeah, I think, as Mary Kay said, this just makes sense. I think we would have been surprised if Kevin Stefanski came out today and said, yeah, Tommy Reese is going to call plays in his second year here, really his second year in the NFL, third total if you consider his 2016 year as an offensive assistant with the then San Diego Chargers, which he talked about today. So this just makes sense to allow him to kind of get his feet wet, work with the quarterbacks maybe a little bit more. They can help shape this offense together and get things back to form.
Now, I don't know if Kevin sat down and said to Tommy, don't say a word about these guys, whatever, but Tommy Reese fitting right in with kind of how these guys approach press conferences. Mary Kay did not say anything or offer anything about any of the quarterbacks in this draft or his thoughts on them, including Jalen Milroe, who he coached at Alabama. Tommy was not going to give anything up today, including whether he was even going to the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Game.
That's right. The Senior Bowl is coming up. So is the Shrine Game. Both of them are starting Saturday through next Saturday. And Jalen Milroe will, of course, be at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And so it's only fitting, I would think, that Tommy's going to be there. You've got Bubba Ventrone is going to be coaching the American team. And it just seems like he would go there. Maybe he's going to go to both, but he wasn't giving that up. So the one thing we learned about Tommy today is that he's going to be a tough interview, right? He's not going to be very forthcoming on things. But Jalen Milroe, certainly if the Browns decide that they like Jalen Milroe, the Alabama quarterback, they have all the intel that they need on him.
Yeah, and Ashley, tried to get him to crack. He would not when it came to any of these draft quarterbacks, even not willing to say if he views this class as having guys who can come in and start right away, just would not engage in questions about these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Mary Kay tried her best, really pressed him after he kind of already said nothing about whether he would go to the Shrine Game or the Senior Bowl. So he's fitting right in terms of not really giving much away. And I'm curious if how this is going to impact, what we hear from them throughout the draft process, or if it's any indication, I guess I should say, of how the Browns are going to approach this. If they're going to be really quiet publicly, what's going to leak out, and how they're going to approach just with that number 2 pick in terms of whether they're going to take somebody, trade the pick, all the things, all the possibilities, what they're going to leave up in the air.
Now, of course, the staff is another issue that Tommy has to deal with, what his staff is going to look like. Obviously, Kevin is going to have a lot to say on that. There's already a new offensive line coach in the house. They'll need to bring in a new tight ends coach as well, or promote somebody to that position. But one thing we don't know yet, Mary Kay, and this is an important one, and this is something that the Browns have structured so differently under Kevin during his 5 years here, year to year. Will there be a quarterbacks coach? And Tommy Reese, again, didn't give us a direct answer on that, but it'll be interesting to see if they let Tommy handle that or if they bring somebody else in to help him out.
I am going to predict that they have a quarterbacks coach this year. I really think that would be another wise move. And the reason why I think that is because Tommy is going to have a lot on his plate. He's got a mess of an offense to fix, and it is good that Kevin's calling the plays, but I still think with 3 new quarterbacks in the room, there's probably going to be 3 new quarterbacks here, having a designated quarterbacks coach that can just focus on those guys and the nuances of the position will give Tommy the opportunity to basically oversee the whole thing.
Okay, I'm going to actually zag here, and I'm going to say that they won't have a quarterbacks coach, that they're going to let Tommy, who has coached the position before, kind of keep doing that, sort of be in that Alex Van Pelt role. Of course, Kevin helps with the quarterbacks too, so that's going to be my prediction. Ashley, be our tiebreaker here.
I was thinking the exact same as you, Dan, just because we know Tommy's obviously a former quarterback. Most of his career has been spent coaching that position. And it just seems to me like the obvious answer. But with these Browns, maybe I have a feeling Mary Kay's going to end up being right here, and they're going to do something that I wasn't initially expecting and hire a separate guy to help with that room.
Well, we know who is usually right, so they probably will end up having a quarterbacks coach when all is said and done. When that does happen, everything before that happens, how this staff shakes out, today's press conference, the Senior Bowl, everything, we'll cover it all at cleveland.com/Browns.